The financial advisor's pen stopped moving across the page. She stared at the yellowed certificates spread across her desk, then looked up at me, then back down at the papers. Her face had gone completely white. "Mr. Morrison," she said, her voice tight and controlled. "I need to make a phone call. Would you mind waiting in the reception area for just a moment?" I sat there in the leather chair, holding the cardboard box my Uncle Richard had given me 3 weeks ago at Christmas dinner, the same box my brother had knocked off the table and laughed about, the same box everyone had called trash, the same box I had kept in my truck because I could not bring myself to throw away the last thing my uncle ever gave me. "Is there a problem?" I asked. "No problem at all." She forced a smile. "I just need to verify some information with our senior partner. This is highly unusual." She left the office, closing the door carefully behind her. Through the frosted glass, I could see her silhouette making animated gestures as she spoke to someone. I looked down at the box in my lap. It was just a regular cardboard file box, the kind you can buy at any office supply store. Inside were dozens of paper stock certificates, some so old the ink had faded to a pale blue. Each one had the same company name printed across the top: General Motor Parts and Manufacturing. My uncle's name was written in careful handwriting on each certificate, along with dates ranging from 1978 to 2003. My father had said these were worthless. My mother had said I should not waste anyone's time with old paper. My brother Chad had laughed and said the company probably went bankrupt in the 80s, that these were just souvenirs from Uncle Richard's factory days, worth nothing except as a reminder of how far gone he had become. But I had come anyway, because Uncle Richard had asked me to. Because 14 years of Saturday afternoons had taught me to trust him, because the look in his eyes when he handed me this box at Christmas was not the look of a confused old man. It was the look of someone giving away something precious. I should have come sooner. But doubt is a powerful thing, and when everyone you know tells you something is worthless, you start to believe them. I wish I had not waited 3 weeks. The door opened and 2 people entered. The financial advisor who had been helping me, whose name was Patricia Chen, and an older man in an expensive suit. He had silver hair and the confident bearing of someone who had been doing this for a very long time. "Mr. Morrison," Patricia said, "this is David Hartley, our senior managing partner. He would like to speak with you about the certificates." David extended his hand and I shook it. His grip was firm. "Please," he said, "sit down. We need to have a conversation." I sat back down, my heart pounding. David settled into the chair next to Patricia's desk and folded his hands. "Mr. Morrison," he began, "Patricia showed me the stock certificates you brought in. Can you tell me how you came to possess them?" "My uncle gave them to me. He worked at the company for 40 years. He gave me the box 3 weeks ago before he died." David nodded slowly. "And do you know anything about General Motor Parts?" "Not much. Uncle Richard worked there his whole career, assembly line, I think. Then supervisor. He said the company gave workers the option to buy stock directly from their paychecks." "That is correct." David pulled one of the certificates closer and examined it. From 1975 until 2005, General Motor Parts offered an employee stock purchase program. Workers could have up to 10% of their pay automatically used to purchase company shares at a 15% discount. He looked at me. "Your uncle appears to have participated in this program for 25 years. My father said the company failed, that the stock is worthless now." David's expression did not change. General Motor Parts was acquired by Berkshire Industrial Group in 2008. All existing shares were converted at a ratio of 3-to-1 into Berkshire stock. Berkshire itself was then acquired by Johnson & Klein Manufacturing in 2015. Those shares were again converted, this time at 4-to-1. I did not understand what he was saying. "So, the stock is worth something?" Patricia typed something into her computer. "Mr. Morrison, based on the certificates in this box, your uncle owned approximately 12,000 original shares of General Motor Parts stock. After the conversions and splits, that translates to roughly 96,000 shares of Johnson & Klein. Johnson & Klein is currently trading at $230 per share." She turned her monitor so I could see it. The number on the screen made no sense. I looked at it, looked at her, looked back at the screen. "That cannot be right," I heard myself say. "That would be over $20 million. $22,180,000. David said quietly. Give or take. Depending on today's closing price. The room spun. I gripped the arms of the chair. My uncle, Richard, the factory worker everyone pitied, the old man everyone dismissed, had quietly accumulated a fortune in company stock and left it all to me. Uncle Richard was not supposed to be special. He was just supposed to be my uncle, the quiet one at family gatherings who sat in the corner and did not say much, the one who never married, never had kids, never did anything interesting according to my father, the one who lived in the same small house in Dearborn for 50 years and drove the same Ford pickup until it literally would not run anymore. But to me, he was the person who changed my life. It started when I was 14. My father had just told me again that I was wasting my potential. I had brought home a report card with B's and C's, and my father, a successful real estate attorney, had looked at it like I had handed him garbage. You are better than this, Jake, he said at dinner that night. Your brother manages straight A's. Why cannot you apply yourself? Maybe I am not like Chad, I said quietly. That is obvious. Chad has ambition. Chad understands that grades matter, that college matters, that success matters. What do you understand? I understand that I like working with my hands. I like fixing things. My father put down his fork. Working with your hands? You mean being a mechanic, like my brother Richard? The way he said it, like being a mechanic was something shameful, made my chest tight. What is wrong with being a mechanic? I asked. Nothing, if you have no other options. But you have options, Jake. You are smart enough to be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, and you want to waste it changing oil and rotating tires. That is enough, Raymond, my mother said. But her voice was weak, apologetic. My brother Chad smirked at me across the table. He was 17, already taking AP classes and talking about Yale. He had never gotten anything less than an A in his life. The next Saturday, I rode my bike to Uncle Richard's house. I had been there a few times before, but never alone. He answered the door in old jeans and a flannel shirt, looking surprised. Jake, he said. Everything okay? I do not know. Can I come in? He made coffee, even though I was only 14. He poured it into 2 mugs and sat across from me at his small kitchen table. Your dad giving you trouble? He asked. How did you know? Because Raymond gave me trouble for 40 years. He is my little brother, but he never understood why I chose this life. He thought I should want more. Do not you want more? Uncle Richard smiled. Depends on what you mean by more. I got a job I am good at, a house I own, enough money to live comfortably. I got my health and my peace of mind. That is more than a lot of people have. Dad thinks you settled. Your dad thinks anyone who is not rich and important settled. But let me tell you something, Jake. I have been working at that factory for 26 years. I show up every day. I do my job. I help the younger guys learn the ropes. I got respect there. I got purpose. And I got something else. What? He got up and went to a filing cabinet in the corner. He pulled out a folder and brought it back to the table. Inside were papers, stock certificates, every paycheck. The company takes out 10%. They use it to buy stock. Company shares. I have been doing it since 1978. He showed me the certificates. These are not worth much now, maybe $60,000, $70,000 total. But they grow. The company does well, the stock goes up. Dividends get reinvested. Over time, it adds up. That is a lot of money, I said. It is. But more than that, it is security. It is knowing that I am building something. That I am not just working to pay this month's bills. I am working toward a future. I do not get it. Why not just put it in the bank? Because the stock grows faster than a savings account. Because I believe in the company I work for. Because when you own stock, you are not just an employee. You are an owner. You have a stake in the success. I looked at the certificates, the careful handwriting, the dates spanning decades. Does Dad know about this? Uncle Richard laughed. Raymond thinks I am poor. He thinks I am wasting my life. I tried to explain it to him once. Show him how the numbers work. How compound growth works. He just shook his head and said I should cash it out and buy a nicer house, a newer truck. He does not understand. Understand what? That accumulating wealth is not about looking wealthy. It is about being patient. About believing in something long enough to see it pay off. That day changed something in me. I started going to Uncle Richard's house every Saturday. At first, my parents did not care. They probably thought I would get bored and stop. But I did not stop. I kept going, week after week, month after month, year after year. Uncle Richard taught me things. Not just about stocks and investing, though we talked about that plenty. He taught me about cars, about how engines work, how to diagnose problems, how to fix things instead of replacing them. His garage was full of tools, and he let me use all of them. We rebuilt a motorcycle together when I was 16. We restored a 1967 Mustang when I was 19. But more than that, he taught me that there is dignity in work, that doing something well, whether it is assembling parts on a factory line or rebuilding an engine, matters. That success is not just about how much money you make or how impressive your job title sounds. It is about finding something you are good at and becoming excellent at it. I graduated high school with mediocre grades. My father was furious when I told him I was not going to college. I was going to trade school instead. I was going to become a certified mechanic. "You are throwing your life away," he said. "I am choosing my life," I replied. My brother Chad went to Northwestern. He became a financial analyst. He made good money right out of school and never let anyone forget it. My parents were proud of him. They displayed his accomplishments like trophies. I went to technical school and got my certifications. I got a job at an independent repair shop in Ferndale. I was good at it, really good. Within 3 years, I was the head mechanic. Within 5 years, I was part owner of the shop. I was making decent money, not Chad money, but enough to buy a small house and a reliable truck and live comfortably. But I was the disappointment, the son who could have been something but chose to be a mechanic instead. Only Uncle Richard understood. He came to the shop sometimes, brought me lunch, looked at the cars I was working on with genuine interest. "You are doing good work, Jake," he would say. "You are building something real." Every Saturday, without fail, I went to his house. We would sit in his garage or his kitchen, drink coffee, talk about everything and nothing. He told me stories about the factory, about the guys he worked with, about watching the company grow and change over 40 years. He told me about the stock, about how it had split 3 times, about how the value kept growing. "The company is doing well," he would say. "Real well. These certificates are worth more than anyone knows." "How much?" I would ask. "Enough," he would say with that mysterious smile. "More than enough." My father stopped speaking to me much after I bought into the repair shop. He thought I was wasting money, that I should have invested in real estate or started a real business. Something respectable. Chad moved to Chicago and came back maybe once a year, always with stories about his big deals and important clients. But I had Uncle Richard, and that was enough. When I was 26, I met Emma. She was a nurse at the hospital, practical and kind and completely unbothered by the fact that I was a mechanic. We got married in a small ceremony. Uncle Richard was there, beaming, telling Emma she reminded him of someone, but he could not remember who. 2 years later, Emma was pregnant. We had a son, Mason, and then a year after that, a daughter, Lily. Uncle Richard held Mason for the first time with tears in his eyes. "Thought I would never see this," he said. "Thought I would die without family. But here you are. Your kids. This is everything. You are family, Uncle Richard," I said. "You always have been." The Christmas when Mason was 3 and Lily was 1, we had the whole family gathering at my parents' house. It was the usual performance. Chad talking about his portfolio, my father discussing his latest real estate victory, my mother playing hostess, my wife Emma trying to make conversation with people who barely acknowledged her. Uncle Richard sat in the corner, quiet as always. He was 73 now, moving slower, but still sharp, still present. After dinner, he pulled me aside. "I got something for you," he said. He handed me a cardboard box. Inside were dozens of stock certificates. "What is this?" I asked. "My stock, all of it. 40 years of buying shares. It is yours now." "Uncle Richard, I cannot take this. This is your retirement." "I am already retired, Jake. Got my pension, got Social Security, got everything I need. This is for you, for Emma, for Mason and Lily." Before I could respond, my brother appeared. "What is that?" Chad asked, looking at the box. "Just some papers," I said. But Chad had already grabbed one of the certificates out of the box. He looked at it and started laughing. General Motor Parts? He called out to my father. Dad, come look at this. Uncle Richard is giving Jake his old stock certificates. My father came over, followed by my mother. Richard, my father said with exasperation, these are worthless. The company does not even exist anymore. They are still good, Uncle Richard said quietly. My father took one of the certificates and examined it. These are dated 1983. The company was bought out decades ago. Any value they had is long gone. That is not how it works, Uncle Richard tried to explain. Raymond, I know how stocks work. I have been investing for 30 years. These are collector items at best. You might get $50 each for them on eBay if you are lucky. Chad was still laughing. This is what happens when factory workers try to play investor. You held on to worthless paper for 40 years, thinking it was going to make you rich. My mother touched my arm. Jake, honey, just thank your uncle and put them somewhere. Do not embarrass yourself by trying to cash them in. Uncle Richard looked at me, and in his eyes I saw something I had seen 14 years earlier. Quiet certainty. Unshakable confidence. Take them to a financial advisor, he said to me. A real one. Someone who knows what they are doing. He looked at my father. Not all of us are as foolish as you think. My father's face hardened. Richard, you have been living in that same tiny house for 50 years. You drive a truck that is older than Jake. You never traveled, never bought anything nice, never lived. And you are telling me I am the foolish one? I live just fine, and I know exactly what I have. You have nothing, Chad said. You have always had nothing. Uncle Richard just smiled. That same smile I had seen 1,000 times. We will see. 3 weeks later, Uncle Richard died. It was a Monday morning. The neighbors found him in his kitchen, sitting in his usual chair, a cup of coffee on the table. He had gone peacefully, probably in his sleep or just after waking. The doctor said his heart just stopped. He was 73 years old and he had lived a good, quiet life. I was the one who went to his house to start sorting through things. The others did not offer to help. They were too busy, they said. I sat in that tiny kitchen surrounded by 40 years of simple living, and I cried for the man who had seen me when no one else did. The funeral was small. A handful of old friends from the factory. Some neighbors. My family showed up but left quickly afterward. They had things to do, places to be. I delivered the eulogy because no one else would. My Uncle Richard was a factory worker, I said. He spent 40 years at General Motor Parts, assembling components, training new workers, showing up every single day. He was not a rich man by most standards. He did not have a fancy house or a new car. He did not travel the world or build a business empire. But he was the richest person I have ever known. Rich in patience, rich in wisdom, rich in knowing what actually matters. He taught me that success is not about impressing other people. It is about being excellent at what you do and finding peace in that. He taught me that wealth is not just about having money. It is about having security, having purpose, having relationships that matter. I will miss him every day for the rest of my life. My father checked his watch during my speech. Chad was on his phone. But Emma was crying, and that was enough. The reading of the will happened 4 days later. Uncle Richard's attorney was an older woman named Mrs. Patterson who had known him for years. She read the will in a calm, respectful voice. To my brother Raymond, I leave my house at 4721 Oakwood Street to be sold or kept as he sees fit. My father nodded. The house was small, probably worth $150,000 at most. To my nephew Chad, I leave my truck and my tools. Chad barely suppressed a snort. A 30-year-old truck and some garage tools. Great. To my nephew Jake, I leave the cardboard box currently in his possession and all its contents, along with all associated rights and claims. That is it, my father said. The stock certificates. The worthless paper. The will has been fully executed, Mrs. Patterson said. The estate is closed. I stayed after the others left. Mrs. Patterson was organizing papers. Mrs. Patterson, I said, can I ask you something? Of course. Did my uncle know what those stock certificates were worth? She looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled. Richard was one of the shrewdest investors I have ever known. He understood compound growth better than most professionals. Yes, Jake. He knew exactly what they were worth. That is when I decided to find out. Even if my family was right, even if they were worthless, I had to know. The financial office was in downtown Detroit, in one of the newer buildings with glass walls and expensive furniture. I had called ahead and made an appointment with Patricia Chen, who specialized in old securities and stock certificates. I brought the box, my driver's license, Uncle Richard's death certificate, and the will, and that is how I ended up in this office, listening to David Hartley tell me that my uncle had left me over $22 million. I could not process it. I just sat there, staring at the numbers on the screen, trying to make them make sense. This is not possible, I finally said. He lived in a tiny house. He drove a broken-down truck. He worked on an assembly line. And invested 10% of every paycheck for 40 years, Patricia said gently. The stock split multiple times. The company was acquired twice, each time converting the shares at favorable ratios. The dividends were automatically reinvested, buying more shares. Over 4 decades, a modest investment became a fortune, and he knew, David added. He tracked every split, every conversion, every dividend. He knew exactly what he had. Then why did he live like that? Why did he never spend any of it? Because spending it was never the point, David said. Building it was, creating security was, and leaving it to the right person was. I drove home in a daze, the box on the passenger seat, the verification documents folded in my pocket. $22 million. My uncle, the factory worker everyone dismissed, had quietly built a fortune and left it all to me. Emma was putting the kids to bed when I got home. I waited until they were asleep, then I showed her the paperwork. She read it 3 times. Then she looked at me. $22 million, she whispered. Yes. From stock certificates everyone said were worthless. Yes. She sat down on the couch. Mason and Lily were asleep in the next room, completely unaware that their lives had just changed forever. Why you? She asked. Why not his brother? Why not Chad? I knew the answer. I had known it for 14 years. Because I showed up, I said. Because I listened. Because I saw him. Because I treated him like he mattered when everyone else had decided he did not. The confrontation happened 8 days later. My father called a family meeting at his house. When I arrived, everyone was already there. My father pacing. My mother perched on the edge of the couch, Chad leaning against the fireplace looking smug. $22 million, my father said as soon as I walked in. Richard had $22 million and he left it all to you. Yes, I said. To you, the mechanic. The one who barely graduated high school. The one who has accomplished nothing. I accomplished building a relationship with my uncle. That was enough. My father's voice rose. That was my brother. My blood. I am his closest living relative. And he left me a house worth $150,000 while you get $22 million. You visited him 6 times in 14 years, I said quietly. You called him on his birthday. You sent a Christmas card. But you never sat with him. You never listened to his stories. You never treated him like he was worth your time. I was busy building a career. I had responsibilities. You had excuses. Chad pushed off from the fireplace. This is fraud. Uncle Richard was clearly not mentally competent. No one in their right mind lives like a pauper while sitting on millions. We can contest the will, claim diminished capacity. He updated the beneficiary designations in 2019. He had his attorney present. He was completely competent. He knew exactly what he was doing. My father turned to my mother. Call our attorney. We are challenging this. You can try, I said. But the financial records go back to 1978. Every purchase is documented. Every split, every conversion, every dividend. Uncle Richard tracked it all meticulously. He was sharper than any of you knew. Chad's face was red. This is theft. You manipulated him. You spent 14 years manipulating a lonely old man so you could steal his money. No, I said, my voice steady. I spent 14 years loving a lonely old man who everyone else had abandoned. The money was a surprise. The relationship was the point. My mother started crying. Family money should stay in the family. It did stay in the family. It went to the person who actually treated him like family. My father pointed at the door. Get out. You are not welcome here anymore. I looked at each of them. Then I walked to the door. Before I left, I turned back. He knew, I said. He knew what you thought of him. He heard Chad call him worthless. He heard you say he had nothing. He heard every dismissive comment, every joke, every time you acted like he was embarrassing. And he decided you were right. He had nothing to give to people who never showed up, but he had everything to give to the one person who did. I walked out. I have not spoken to any of them since. It has been 4 months now. The money is invested, most of it in the same kind of patient, long-term vehicles that Uncle Richard would have approved of. Emma and I still live in our same house. I still work at the shop. We did pay off our mortgage and set up college funds for Mason and Lily. We made donations to the Factory Workers Union and to the technical school where I got my training. But mostly, we are just living our lives. The same lives we had before, because Uncle Richard did not give me that money so I could change who I am. He gave it to me because of who I already was. I found a letter at his house when I was cleaning it out. It was in his filing cabinet, in an envelope with my name on it. Dear Jake, it read, if you are reading this, you went to a financial advisor. Good. I was starting to worry you would believe your father and never check. I know what they said about the stock. I heard Raymond laugh. I heard Chad say I had nothing. I heard all of it. But I also know you kept the box. You did not throw it away. You trusted me even when everyone told you not to. That is why the stock is yours. Let me tell you the truth. When I started at the factory in 1972, I was 21 years old. I did not know anything about money or investing, but the company had this program where you could buy stock through payroll deduction. The older guys all did it, so I figured I would too. I started with 5% of my paycheck, then 10%. It did not seem like much at the time, $20 here, $40 there, but it added up, and it grew. The stock split, the company did well, dividends got reinvested, and I never touched it. Not once in 40 years. Your father thought I was poor. He thought I was wasting my life. He could not understand why I did not cash out and buy a bigger house, a nicer car, take vacations. But I did not need those things. I had everything I needed, and I had something he did not have. Patience. I watched those shares grow for 40 years, Jake. I watched $20,000 turn into $50,000, then $100,000, then $1 million, and I kept watching, because I knew that someday, the right person would need it. The right person would deserve it. You showed up every Saturday for 14 years. You listened to an old man's stories. You learned from me. You brought your wife to meet me, and then your children. You treated me like I mattered when everyone else had moved on. That is worth more than money. And that is why the money is yours. Use it wisely. Take care of Emma. Give Mason and Lily the security I always wanted to give Raymond and Chad, but they never valued. And remember that the richest person in any room is not the one with the biggest bank account. It is the one who knows what actually matters. I am proud of you, nephew. You became exactly the man I hoped you would be. Your uncle, Richard. P.S. The Mustang in my garage is yours too. We built that together. It should stay with you. I sat in his empty house and cried. Uncle Richard had given me more than money. He had given me proof that the way I chose to live, the values I held, the relationships I built, all of it mattered. All of it was worth something. The box sits on a shelf in my garage now, empty except for one stock certificate I kept as a reminder. The rest have been converted and properly registered. But I kept that one certificate because it represents something more than money. It represents patience. It represents faith. It represents the quiet belief that good things come to those who show up. I visit Uncle Richard's grave every Saturday. I bring coffee, the same brand he always drank, and I sit on the grass next to his headstone and talk to him. Mason is growing like a weed, I tell him. He is 4 now, asking a million questions about everything. He wants to know how cars work. I think he is going to be a builder like us. Lily just started walking. Emma says she has your smile, quiet and knowing. The shop is doing well. We are hiring another mechanic. Business is good. Dad still has not called. Neither has Chad. I do not think they ever will. They cannot forgive me for receiving something they think they deserved. But I am okay with that. Because I had you. I had 14 years of Saturday afternoons, of coffee and conversation, of learning what actually matters. That is more than enough. The wind moves through the trees. A bird sings, and I like to think he can hear me. I like to think he knows that the gift he gave me was not just the money. It was the example, the proof that patience pays off, that showing up matters, that real wealth is knowing what is truly valuable. Thank you, Uncle Richard, for everything,